Can Agent Venom and Scarlet Spider stop Carnage? Well, we'll find out, won't we? Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read them dramatically back to you with funny voices and epic music. All alterations of the panel, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Now, if you're just now joining us, Agent Venom teamed up with Scarlet Spider to chase down Carnage. Carnage went into the Microverse, where he discovered that they were trying to make clones of him to build an army of the Red Slayer. As Agent Venom and Scarlet Spider both went into the Microverse, they did get separated, and that was also when Carnage realized what they were trying to do to him, so he started to murder everyone who was trying to turn him into a weapon. So pretty much, everyone's trying to kill everyone, and they're all separated right now. And back on Arcturus' ship, Venom begins killing everything in sight, like I just said. And that's when Bug tells everyone, look on the bright side, at least the Corruptor is killing the bad guys too. Venom begins attacking Arcturus' crew when Flash tries to get control of Venom. And that's when Flare starts to sing. Slowly, Venom stops attacking, and Flash says that the song is soothing the symbiote. If you haven't been following our Agent Venom storylines, Flash Thompson is using the Venom symbiote when it behaves and listens to him as a weapon at his disposal. But at times, the Venom symbiote goes crazy, gaining control of itself, and it has no conscience, it just kills everything. But as this battle ends, Flare says that she still thinks that they should have killed this thing, and that's when the alarms start to go off. Everyone on the ship begins to fall as the ship rams into a giant structure. Arcturus gives the order for everyone that is on the bridge to move and get out, and that's when the ship doors burst open. Back with Kane. He tries to fight off Carnage as Carnage has found him and jumped him. But the entire time, Carnage keeps shouting, "More! More!" As Kane punches, the Carnage symbiote jumps off of Cletus Kasady and bites down on Kane's head. Kane manages to kick him off just as the Scarlet Spider would, and he goes right back to beating Carnage's face. But as the fight goes on, Katie finds the Redeemer and he tells her that the Corruptor's cancer is spreading. Everything is falling apart. The rock that they are standing on begins to crack, and the Redeemer pushes Katie back to solid ground. But while the rock is crumbling, Kane jumps off of Carnage to grab the Redeemer. He will not let him fall. Carnage jumps over to the ledge and he tells Katie, "I didn't see that coming!" And then a blinding light shines down. Soldiers begin descending upon him, shouting for him to stand down. A short while later, Flash Thompson walks over to Arcturus in restraints asking, "How long was I out?" Arcturus tells him not long enough. This is the part where Marquis Radu kills them. Flash mentions that this guy must be the bad guy. He's seen bad in his time. But Arcturus tells him, well, he's trying to kill God. Marquis then arrives, and soon a voice tells him that the symbiote doesn't believe in those things, does he? A symbiote only consumes, and he would like him to consume God. But as Marquis goes on, the other soldiers begin to bring Carnage in with them, and he tells everyone that this is going to make killing them so much easier. Carnage breaks out of his restraints and he asks, "Why didn't you just say you wanted me to kill? Nothing would make me happier!" Marquis tells him, with all due respect, "I'm not interested in your happiness." And he slams Carnage's face down into the ground. Marquis then tells the soldiers to bring Arcturus and his Enigma Force to the cells and bring the symbiotes to the banks. As the groups are taken away, Marquis tells Katie to come with him. He understands that she's a historian from the Macroverse. Katie asks what is this all about, and he tells her that the Microverse has always been in war, overseen by a mad god, and he intends to end that. Katie then asks if he's sure that it's not God who's mad, and the Marquis tells her, oh, he's sure. Now look. Her head is pushed into the light as she begins to see visions, and Marquis explains that some time ago the Microverse was breached by the symbiotes. Those symbiotes were like a poison. Their mere presence alone break things down, and in the end, as the symbiotes tried to bond with God to consume it, the Enigma Force destroyed the beasts and expelled them from the Microverse. Katie then asks, why would you bring them back then? Referring to the fact that he summoned Carnage, which caused Venom to chase after. Marquis says that he wants to be God, and in order for him to be God, he has to kill the old God first. Back on the planet, Kane asks the Redeemer if he's okay, to which he replies with, I'm obviously dying. Kane then asks, okay, beyond that, are you okay? The Redeemer explains that the symbiotes are a poison to the Enigma Force, and he is the living embodiment of that force. Kane asks, why don't you all just leave then? And the Redeemer says that it's not that simple. If things here in the Microverse are destroyed, then it will destroy the Macroverse, as all things are tied together. That's when Kane realizes how bad this could be. Crap. And the Redeemer adds, crap indeed. Over in the body banks, the soldiers begin to cart Flash and Carnage down the halls. But as Flash looks around, he slowly realizes that the army that they want to build will be out of them. He now sees what Carnage saw. They are building a symbiote army. Once they are secured in, Flash begins to see visions of Venom the symbiote's past. The symbiotes have already taken over planets in the Microverse, and then they were later wiped out by the Enigma Force. And right now, him and Carnage brought them back. Flash watches as the people in the containers begin to squirm as the symbiotes consume them! And just as the symbiotes are a poison to this world and everything that they touch, Flash sees his restraints slowly corroding away, and then they release him. Just as Flash and Carnage break away, so do all of these new symbiote soldiers. Flash jumps to attack Carnage, but as he does, Carnage tells him, "It's said that our kids will have to pick a side!" And all of the clones begin to surround Flash. Everyone begins to attack, and Carnage says that he must be feeling rather impotent, seeing all of the clones listen to me! Flash hears all of the voices of the clones, they're in his head, but the venom has been altered and changed, and Carnage is just pure symbiote. So for Flash to have a fighting chance, he has to start thinking like him, thinking real mean. He leaps into the air and he cuts off Carnage's head. But even without his head, the clones begin to attack. Suddenly Carnage hears someone calling out to him, and Kane jumps in, stabbing him. While Flash fights off the clones, he tells Kane that he thought he was dead, and Kane tells him, "You're lucky that I'm not." The Redeemer tells all of them that they must hurry. The Corruptor is growing stronger and will soon bring both the universes crashing down. Kane shouts, "That's right, they're playing for keeps here." And Carnage jumps on his back, boring himself into Kane's mouth, telling him, "You're mouthy like the other spider." Carnage slams Kane into the ground, and Flash jumps in, grabbing Carnage. As the two of them begin to struggle, Flash slowly begins to gain control, and he throws Carnage away. And as the clones surround Kane and the Redeemer, Flash tells himself that he might be able to control the clones. He just has to remember the beatings that he used to get, all of the bruises, the broken bones, the phantom pain from his legs. Remember everything! And then he lets out a massive roar, and all of the clones fall to pieces. Carnage begins laughing from his broken body. You probably think that you saved the day, but I'm just getting warmed up. Slowly, Carnage's body begins to sink into the cracks, and the Redeemer says that he can no longer sense Carnage's presence anymore. So Kane asks, where could he have gone? Back over in Houston, bodies lay scattered all along the ground, and a close-up of one of their faces shows small, red creatures. And those creatures are symbiote clones! Elsewhere in the city, an old man begins to cough, and then he slowly begins to spit up something red. Soon, everyone else begins to scream out in pain as the clones start attacking everything in sight, but on a microscopic level. Back in the Microverse, the Redeemer and the rest of Arcturus's crew get aboard their ship, and the Redeemer tells them that it's time. Before leaving and being sent back, Mari hands Flash some of the sonic weapons that the soldiers were using against him when fighting. In case you were unaware, sonic weapons and fire are the two weaknesses of symbiotes. Mari says that he might be able to use them on Carnage, but Flare says unless he wants to come back, and if he does, he can use it on himself. Even though Marquis managed to escape, it is time for them to return to their world. Suddenly, Flash, Kane, and Katie are covered in the light and they arrive back in Houston. And as they fall out of the portal, they realize one slight problem, one teeny problem, one itty-bitty problem. They're still really small. Flash remembers Dr. Catola mentioning that something like this could happen when they returned, though the effects would only be temporary. Except the problem that they face now is that Carnage has had time for that to wear off. Carnage is now full grown and he begins laughing. As he slams down on the three of them. But as they get away, the clones begin to attack. The two fight off what they can, but more and more clones begin to crawl out. And once there is too many of them, Carnage grabs both Flash and Kane, telling them, "It's like you wanted to be killed or something." Carnage tightens his grip, but Flash and Kane begin to glow and shoot out of his hands as they grow back to normal size. The two of them look at Carnage, and they notice that Carnage's size is still much larger due to him being able to absorb his clones. They begin killing off as many of the clones as they can, but the clones begin to overrun Kane. They begin to bring down our Scarlet Spider. Carnage bites down on Flash and he tells him, "You need to relax. Just let it happen." Flash pulls out one of the sonic bombs that Mari gave him and he drops it. He tries to climb back out, but as he reaches the teeth of Carnage's body, the bomb explodes! The blast blows parts of Venom off of him, and Kane runs over to help Flash up. But as Cletus starts to get back up without the Carnage symbiote around him, Kane looks at him and pops a claw. In a split second, Kane stabbed Cletus in the eye, and Flash runs over asking him, "What did you do?" Kane tells him, "How many has he killed? How many times do we have to lock him up so that he can break out just so he can kill again?" Flash asks him, "What separates us from them? What makes them different? There has to be another way." And Kane swings away, telling Flash, "Get back to me when you find that answer." As time passed, the Prometheus pit was dismantled. Dr. Catola quit her job, and the city grieved over the loss of the people that Carnage had killed. But as the people and the heroes go their separate ways, Flash stands in front of Cletus' cell. The doctors state that after the wound that he received, Cletus has become completely catatonic. He's effectively been lobotomized. Flash asks if this means that he's harmless now, but the doctor says no. The symbiote is still in his bloodstream. Cletus is still the alien's host, which means the symbiote is in full control. Carnage is more dangerous than ever. And this concludes our crossover event of Venom, Carnage, and Scarlet Spider. Now, like I said in the first video, let me know down below if you want to know the Scarlet Spider storyline, because he has an entire run of comics that came out at the exact same time as Agent Venom, and we can tell you what he was doing in Houston, bridging the gap from his time in Houston up to Spider-Verse, which will then bring us to Clone Conspiracy. Either way, I need to know if you guys want that or not, and I'll see you next time right here when we pick up with Agent Venom as he goes back to discover what the demons and all of the Hellspawn mean for him. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on your Spider-Man videos, your Agent Venom videos, and your potential Scarlet Spider videos, and follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Comicstorian, where we can chat about just about whatever you want. I'll see you next time right here.